Mars has undoubtedly been a truly mysterious world since the moment NASA's waves reached the surface of this red planet more than half a century ago, when the space race was just beginning. From that moment on, it was known that Mars was hiding something that human beings absolutely had to know. And the thing is, for being our close neighbor in astronomical terms, we know very little about that world that in ancient times was believed to be inhabited by the famous Martians. But now we know that it is an inhospitable and very cold world where only the Baltic waves of a few powerful countries have made it their permanent home. However, according to new scientific studies, modern observations, and thousands of pieces of evidence found on Martian soil and what little we know about this world could change, which, seen from afar, always hides an aura of mystery no matter how you look at it. And it is certain that Mars was never the world that we see and study today, because millions of years ago, this planet was full of giant lakes and rivers and springs of liquid water that could have housed creatures, in addition to a lot of vegetation that, after a long period of time, was transformed into an arid, dry and very cold desert in which, today, nothing that lives on our world could survive. All this can be scientifically confirmed with the enormous amount of water paths that existed on the Martian surface, in addition to dry lakes that were once full of water that could literally supply several entire cities, or at least a large number of creatures that may have walked through those vast plains. However, to this day, neither NASA nor other space agencies around the world know the reason why this planet became a dry and hostile desert. Added to do this fact to a series of cataclysms that the planet Mars suffered 2 million years ago. Several large earthquakes, the eruption of several volcanoes in a chain, and even the eruption of the Olympus volcano itself, which is the largest volcano in the solar system, could have been the cause of this abrupt change that the planet Mars would undergo over several years, where species of vegetation and possible microbial life perished in an unusual and very slow way, making the universe once again a capricious place where life flourishes, but in the same way has to complete its cycle and perish. Within all this, there is also the possibility and even the totality that intelligent life could have existed on this world that functioned much earlier than on Earth, which at that time was just a planet full of volcanoes and an atmosphere completely harmful to any form of life. It is known that the possibility of intelligent life, including beings that lived in society, could have been true at some point in the Martian past, since thousands of files and even accounts of secret projects could reveal the existence of fossil remains on the planet Mars, which evidences a past habitability in in a disconcerting way. Because government secrets always hide details that people are unaware of, but that could confirm this theory. That is the case of a secret project, which was carried out during the 70s by NASA, where it is stated that, literally when they first arrived on the red planet, they saw things that would confirm the disappearance of a civilization that lived there more than millions of years ago, and that they supposedly found remains of something that humans should never have seen. In a simpler context, it is said that the discovery they would make at time was a kind of enormous ark that lay buried on the surface of Mars. This colossally gigantic object was embedded in the Martian surface, almost fossilized, as if it had been in that place for hundreds of millions of years. That gigantic object could have measured more than 50 kilometers long, as if it were a space vehicle prepared exclusively to transport millions of people. That shocking discovery would have been silenced by the authorities of the American government, since it would have been a finding that people would have taken chaotically, and more than anything, the history of millions of people who base their faith on religious beliefs, especially biblical stories and many other things, would have been rewritten. After this discovery, some researchers gave their point of view. The possibility was raised that long ago, millions of years ago, Mars was inhabited by a civilization of intelligent beings who lived in harmony and had a promising future. But a total cataclysm perhaps natural or caused by themselves, forced them to leave their planet in search of other worlds where they could rebuild a civilization from scratch, and as a result, forced them to abandon the planet Mars in a kind of gigantic arcs that were built globally. Ibtisi Bugatao. But one of those arcs simply suffered a series of failures that forced them to abandon it on the Martian surface, leaving behind all memory of a habitable and promising planet that was consumed by a cold desert place. Of that arc that they saw abandoned and embedded in Martian soil, it could be the real proof that NASA researchers would find when they first arrived on the Red Planet in the 70s. It is impressive that intelligent living beings existed on the planet Mars, capable of traveling to other places and building objects that would be almost impossible for us to make. But the fact is that there was life on the planet Mars, and something terrifying happened to them for them to have suddenly abandoned their home planet. In addition to those secret files that speak of this possibility, there are photographs that Martian rovers have taken during their stay on the planet Mars, which show certain objects that seem to have belonged to some ancient civilization, Nigai, in addition to casual captures of creatures that could have been the inhabitants of the Red Planet and that unfortunately perished as a result of that global cataclysm that would end all existing forms of life. Possibility is being strongly considered even by scientists from other space agencies around the world who do not deny the existence of something on the planet Mars, but that there will be very little time left for human beings to assimilate a certain number of findings that simply now seem to us to be taken from a science fiction movie, or simply that we cannot understand. If you liked the video, give it a like and join me. Likes one